Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Cup Council. How are we all? Hopefully, all of you is having a fantastic day wherever we are around the world. And welcome back. A little bit of a different video. Of course, it is still a Liverpool news episode, but we are mainly going to be discussing Alexander Isak. Of course, a lot of news came out last night. A bit too late for me to do a show on, so do apologize for that. But again, there's going to be probably 3 shows today on the channel, because again we're going to have us talking about Alexander Isak now. Obviously we're waiting for this man to obviously sign for Liverpool in Milos Kerkez, which again hopefully we'll have that in the next hour or two, because I think everybody yesterday thought they would have got announced. It would have been done. It would have been dusted. And unfortunately, we didn't get the official confirmation from the football club. But, we are expecting that today, at least, as long as everything's gone well with the medical, which it has done by the looks of things. But again, we'll talk about Kerkez in due course. But again, the main topic of the video is Alexander Isak. Of course, the biggest talking point now, I think, left in this summer. Will he go to Liverpool, or will he stay at Newcastle? There is a poll in the chat right now if you want to vote as well. Will Liverpool sign Alexander Isak, or will Isak sign for Liverpool? That's in the chat as well for you guys down below as well. But we're going to dive in a bit of news that we did have last night and get your guys' thoughts on it. Of course, if you are new around here, do hit the like button and hit the subscribe button as well. Anyway, but let's get into the comments. Yes, Ollie, I did see your comments right away. Late again. Yeah, absolutely. But thank you, Doug, as well. Always putting in when people put in as well. Anyway, but Truth, again, apologies if I butchered people's names. Bid coming in and being rejected, he won't go. Honestly, I think the longer it goes on, the more likely it will happen. And the fact that the most encouraging point on the Liverpool side of things is the fact that none of the Liverpool journalists are cancelling out, which I think that's the surprising thing. By now, I think if we'd had Paul Joyce or we'd had James Pearce come out and say, like, oh, look, this, it's not happening, it's done. He's staying at Newcastle. I think, it would have been properly said by now. But look, I do think the longer it does go on, the more likely is he will leave. Because look, Liverpool have the cash to do it. And look, it will fully depend on Alexander Isak and what he wants. But again, he could turn around and say no. Of course, and that's the interesting side of it, where I know a lot of Newcastle fans are annoyed by it as well, judging from a lot of what social media has said over the last 48 hours. Newcastle supporters have been fuming by it, which, look, I think on an overall perspective, look, if it was a Liverpool player in the same type of situation like we have done, I can understand it, but I also think it's, I was speaking to a Newcastle fan earlier, and like he said, if Newcastle rate Alexander Isak at 150, 200 million pounds, then they have to pay him the big money. And when I'm talking about big money is you have to talk about 200k a week plus for that. And of course, Newcastle will offer probably 150, going on a little bit to going on to 200. But I think obviously bonuses will also help with that. But I do look at it and go, can Newcastle do that with PSR? Now, again, we know obviously Newcastle, Saudi ownership, they got the money. There's no issue with that. But in terms of PSR, can they do it? I think that's an entirely different question to even ask and go through in itself anyway. But this was obviously the main thing that we wanted to talk about in this show, at least anyway, discussing on Alexander Isak and this article piece that did come out last night. It was around 9:30 that it did come out last night, suggesting, again, as you guys saying in the comments, Newcastle United willing to break club record wage wage record to keep Alexander Isak. Liverpool, Barcelona, and Arsenal have shown interest in the Sweden forward, while Newcastle in his salary by profitability and obviously the PSR rules anyways. So this is from Martin Hardy, who again is a very reliable Newcastle journalist from the Times. As you guys can see, it is from the Times article there. But as it does go on to say that Newcastle United are prepared to make Alexander Isak the best paid player in the club's history to fight off any approach for their star striker. After a season in which Isak scored 23 Premier League goals, the club are aware of growing interest in the Swedish international from leading clubs including Liverpool, Barcelona, and Arsenal. Newcastle bosses are now ready to begin talks on a new deal that would take the 25-year-old salary beyond £150,000 per week and overtake the likes of Tonali, Bruno Gomes, and Anthony Gordon, who at present are the top earners. Liverpool have the funds to test Newcastle's resolvement, despite obviously the signing of Florian Wirtz for a British record fee that could raise to £160 million and a summer spend that has already reached £200 million. It does go on to say Newcastle are concerned an offer could be made earlier next month for Isak, who has scored 62 goals in 3 seasons since his £63 million move to obviously from Real Sociedad. While Liverpool are not thought to be actively seeking a number 9, they would be among the clubs able to compete for Isak's signature if he wanted to leave. Isak has 3 years left on his contract at St James's Park and has not yet given any indication he wants a move. Let me quickly scroll down. Any contract offer from Newcastle would not match the highest salaries at Anfield, with the club still obviously constrained by obviously the PSR rules. Newcastle hope that their own qualification for the Champions League will be a factor in the player not seeking a move. Newcastle's owner, Saudi Arabia Public Investment Fund, do not want to sell. And Eddie Howe and the club, obviously the club's head coach, does not want to lose the striker he has helped develop into one of the best in the world. Now, obviously, you can go on and read on more, and blah blah blah. Obviously, obviously they mentioned, but they about Anthony Elanga, obviously rejected move from Forest. The one thing I would turn around and say with this is, again, I think this line here is very telling. Is the fact that if I quickly scroll up and highlight it here, where just the 2 paragraphs itself. For me, that's the biggest telling point, because Liverpool have the money, and Newcastle are afraid of that. And Liverpool are, again, what can Liverpool offer that Newcastle can't? And I think that is pretty, it's pretty simple, isn't it? The fact that Liverpool can offer to win the Premier League, offer to win the Champions League. Yes, Newcastle are in the Champions League, but are Newcastle realistically going to be able to win the Champions League? I don't think so. Obviously, to play alongside Mo Salah, play alongside Florian Wirtz, and be the face of Liverpool really for the ready for 2 years' time when Mo probably leaves as well. I think, look, on a Newcastle side of things, I think, look, it's very understandable for them to be annoyed, and look, I get that, I really do. But I currently look at it and go, like I said, the longer this goes on, the longer Isak's story moves on. Like I said in that second paragraph there, where it says Newcastle are concerned of the offer. Why would you be concerned, about a transfer offer? Like as that comment said there, if Newcastle was really terrified or not terrified, why are they petrified of Liverpool putting it in a bid then? Because we know for a fact, as a Liverpool supporter, we know for a fact that Liverpool do not bid usually for players that we know won't join. It's not the fact like Liverpool would just put, let's say 130, 140 million pounds on the table and simply turn around then and go, oh yeah, no, we've just done it because we want the player, but the player doesn't want to join us. Like, we don't tend to do that. Like, we have done it sort of in the past with Moises Caicedo, but in general, Liverpool don't tend to do that. If we was to put in a bid for Alexander Isak, it would be quite clear that he wants to join Liverpool Football Club. Now, does he want to do that? That's another question in itself. As for me right now, I do think it is a it's one of these deals for me that I look at it and go, it's a very impossible deal to do because of the price point and in terms of getting him out to Newcastle. Because like Newcastle have turned around and gone, oh, we want to sell for 100 and let's say it's 150 million pounds. Let's say Liverpool get up to that figure point of 150 million. I still don't think they would accept it. I think they would be, in spite of it, unless Alexander Isak made a big fuss. Which again, is he going to do that? I don't think he would. I think he has a lot of respect for Newcastle, and rightfully so. But I look at it and go, that's the only way, in my opinion, it happens. If Alexander Isak puts in a transfer request and Liverpool put the money up realistically. Now we've done that in the past. Virgil van Dijk, for example, when Liverpool at the time probably massively overpaid for Virgil. But look, it ended up being the best decision the football club did, because it put us on a path where we ended up going on then to win the Premier League, going on to win the Champions League. Even the Premier League, the season just gone. Virgil is such an integral part to what Liverpool have done over the years. And for me, looking at Alexander Isak, he could be that player again, where it's similar to Mo, where Mo was performing at a level at Roma where, again, he was on the cusp of obviously being world class. This stage at the moment with Alexander Isak, in my opinion, I think this is the peak that Isak will get at, in my opinion, because he's doing it in the Premier League. If Isak was doing it maybe in it's in La Liga or doing it in Serie A, I think you could turn around and go, oh, maybe there is another step up that he could take. But I think with Isak, this is what you're getting now. And I think Newcastle, if Liverpool threw out a bid, let's say of 130, 140 million pounds, again, I'd say 120 to 130 Liverpool could possibly do. But I look at that and go, that is probably the most amount of money you're going to get for one of your players. And I know they've got really big players in terms of sales, they could end up doing in the future. Again, Bruno Guimaraes could end up leaving the football club. It could end up being, Bruno Guimaraes. Anthony Gordon could go to an Arsenal or Chelsea in the future, as well, for 100 million, for example. But I look at it and go, if you want to take that money, because it might be the same as Liverpool and Coutinho, I think that's one way of looking at it. If you're a Newcastle supporter, is going, look, you could spend 130 million pounds. That then takes you up, your PSR up tremendously. You're not in any problems then, and also you can reinvest that money. And I think obviously with PSR, I think ending next season, of course, teams then will be spending a lot of money. But even still, I think for now, that's the most you're going to get for Isak. And I wonder whether or not Newcastle supporters now would take the 130 million now. If it was guaranteed, let's say 130 million, let's say it's 100 million guaranteed, 30 million in add-ons, or 110 million guaranteed and 20 million in add-ons. Would you much rather take that now or keep hold of Alexander Isak? Because I think it would be a bit divided. I think, well, of course, rightfully, people would want to keep him. I think other people would want to sell him, in my honest opinion. But look, we'll have to wait and see. But I think that is truly interesting, where I think that is very telling in this article, where it says, but Liverpool have the funds to test Newcastle's resolve, despite obviously the signing of Florian Wirtz for a British record fee that could raise to 116 million. And then Newcastle are concerned an offer could be made early next month, as well, which of course he is set to have contract talks. We know this. Obviously, this article confirms that. But for me, that bit is huge. With Newcastle are concerned about the offer. Again, why would you be concerned if he's untouchable then, really? But again, that's just my opinion and thoughts. But let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comments as well. And again, let me know your guys' thoughts. There's 19 people in right now, so yeah, let me know your guys' thoughts on Alexander Isak and will he join Liverpool? There's a poll in the chat. as well. Let me check the poll. Yeah, there is a poll in the chat. I was making sure that was right then. Will Isak join? Again, let me know your guys' thoughts there in the comments. But what else do we have? We are giving him a new contract, and he has said he wants to stay. It's the media spreading lies. They have tried to sell out our stars. I've not seen him say that he wants to stay personally, but again, I've not looked into it either. We have no issues with PSR. We have money to spend. I don't think that's true either. But again, I'm not too sure. But I think Newcastle and Villa have problems, don't they? They have to, well, not the fact you have to sell, but to gap that space. I think Newcastle do have a bit of problems, but again, I'm not too sure on that anyway. But big up Gary as well as Intelio all being Liverpool should sign Hugo Ekitike ASAP. I'm glad you mentioned that. We're going to get up Lewis Steele's report on him now. For me, I do think obviously if we can't get Isak, it will be Hugo Ekitike for Liverpool for sure. Con, do you reckon we'll see more of Trey and Rio this season? Yeah, I do. I think out of the two, probably Rio, I would say probably more. But yeah, I would say it's very mixed, isn't it? But I do think it's a very interesting one. Like for me, I think Rio Nguma, Trainioni, is it Narlo as well, the centre half? I think he's going to have a big future. Well, he already had a taste of the first team last season when, of course, he messed up in the Champions League. But still, I think he'll have a progressive year as well with the club. I think have a lot of talent in the academy that we might start to see a lot more of. Like obviously the ones we've already mentioned. I think there might be one or two more in the academy that we take a look at, and also as well Jayden Danns. I think Jayden Danns is a huge season for him as well. But Ricky says Newcastle can't offer him. I don't know what you mean by that. We don't have any problems at all. Again, media lies. Does it? I'm not too sure about that. Newcastle can't offer him more than 160k per week due to PSR. Pick up Martin as well, saying we won't be getting Isak, no chance as well. I just think there is a slight chance. Again, am I saying it's realistic? No. I'm not saying it is, but I just think the longer it goes on, the more realistic then it is, and the more So I think if we don't hear any more about not specifically Alexander Isak, I'm talking more Liverpool here. If we don't hear anything about a striker, for example, because Darwin Núñez is going to get done in the next week to Napoli, that's pretty much guaranteed. He's going to join Napoli. And Liverpool will want to, of course, sell more on as well. We want to sell Darwin. We want to sell Harvey. There might be one or two more as well. Obviously, Costas, potentially Robbo added to that as well. But yeah, there will be outgoings, and then there will be a certain point over the next 2-3 weeks going into July. If there's no progression in terms of Hugo Ekitike, that's a positive sign. But I think it's very telling, unlike what Arsenal did, with their whole pursuit of changing their mind of going, okay, we don't want Isak, we're going to go after either Gyökeres or Sesko. I do think that's telling, really, because they've pretty much they pretty much went the other way. And okay, that it could still work out for them. Sesko could join. Looks like he is going to join Arsenal as well. But I look at it and go, was it a bit too quick that they kind of went, Isak's a bit unavailable? But again, obviously, you look at Liverpool. Liverpool can offer him, again, the chance to win the Premier League, the chance to win the Champions League, to play alongside Mo Salah, Florian Wirtz, Virgil van Dijk, that is, it adds to the approach then, really. I think that's the best way to put it. But what else do we have? Gary saying Jota must go. Bring Dan's back as the second striker. Oof, Jesus Christ. Isak is coming, says Rick. Isak will stay in the tune, as well as Gary. To be fair, I'm looking at the poll now. 56% says yes, and 46% no. 56% says yes, 44% says no. So it's nearly even, but I don't know. I think it is interesting, isn't it, to see what could happen, at least anyway. But I think one also thing I wanted to bring up, and it wasn't that article piece that we were just looking at. It was Lewis Steele's report yesterday afternoon about Alexander Isak, and if you guys can see that on screen, there we go. And what it does go on to say. Now, this was an overall Q&A about Liverpool transfers, and of course spoke about Ibu Konate, spoke about Darwin Núñez and many other players as well. But one thing was interesting was this here in terms of a question that was asked to Lewis Steele, and he said, I get the feeling it's more on Alexander Isak as to whether we go for Hugo Ekitike. If he doesn't sign this season, could he give his word to join next season? And Liverpool abstain from signing a forward this summer, in your opinion? And this is what Lewis Steele had to come out and say. I will quickly highlight what he did say. So what he has said is this right here. Because there we go. So it says, what I was told last week was that if Isak could move to Liverpool, he would. Easier said than done, of course. So is Isak to Liverpool probable? No. Is it possible? Yes. It's not one to completely rule out just yet, but there is a strong feeling in the industry that next month of the window will be more about balancing the books with sales. Without them, there's no chance they could offer a mega money striker. Newcastle are quoting £200 million as a fee. And to be honest, that is far too much for the 25-year-old. But the fact that they are talking money must mean they are slightly worried, and his long-term future in terms of a new contract remains uncertain at St James's Park. And then he moves on to Hugo Ekitike, where he says Ekitike is currently one they like, but nothing is advanced for the Frankfurt forwards at the moment. The likes of Benjamin Sesko and Victor Gyökeres are on the move, but I don't think either would fit the bill at Liverpool right now. As the second part of your question, it is interesting theory. Being brutally honest, I don't think either of Liverpool's number 9s, Darwin Núñez or Diogo Jota, are good enough. So next summer could be a big one too. But I know one thing: Liverpool's hierarchy have discussed in fact that there is not a great market for a complete number 9. Hence why I wrote the other day that they have considered signing a versatile forward rather than shopping for a mythical player that is not available. So I think that is very interesting. And look, I do think you look at Isak and you look at Hugo Ekitike, and they are very similar profiles. They are. We said that for weeks and months, where I think you look at it and go, of course, Isak is the finished article now. 100% he is. Hugo Ekitike is the prospect of what Isak was when he joined Newcastle. And I think Liverpool, they could go for Hugo Ekitike, of course, at the right price, because we're speaking about, as Gary said there, Ekitike is 60 million. That's what Liverpool want to pay for him. Like, Liverpool don't want to pay 85 million pounds, which again, Frankfurt are still quoting that. Will he end up joining is another, it's a completely other different question. But I think for me, if Liverpool want the finished article, which again, at this present moment in time, Liverpool don't feel like a team or a club that are progressing their way to get at the top. Liverpool currently see themselves as the team to stop, or the team to be at, really, in terms of Europe, in terms of the Premier League as well. Again, this is what Liverpool are after. Liverpool are trying now to build a legacy for the next 5 years. Liverpool want to win multiple Premier Leagues. Again, next season, Liverpool want to win back-to-back Premier League titles. And if they had the front four, for example, of Luis Diaz, Florian Wirtz, Mohamed Salah, and Alexander Isak, they go on to win it. I also think we also win the Premier League if we had Hugo Ekitike, personally. But what is most likely to happen between the two is, of course, Isak. Isak is a pretty much nailed-on guarantee you go on and win the Premier League again because of the goals. Mo Salah getting 29 Premier League goals in the end. Isak, 23 Premier League goals. Again, when Mo is unavailable because of AFCON, the goals then are there for Liverpool. That there's no gap then. There's no drop off then from quality that maybe in other years we'd look at it and go, all right, maybe in some sense we're fine. But on paper, you look at it and go, oh, where are Liverpool going to get their creativity? Where are Liverpool going to get their goals from? Again, when you have Florian Wirtz, Dom Szoboszlai, if you was to bring in Alexander Isak, again, the goals are there and the assists are there as well. So it is interesting, really. But I think that from Lewis Steele as well, similar to the first article that we read, in terms of them being afraid, in the first article where it says Newcastle are concerned about an offer, and then Lewis Steele's one, but there when he spoke about money, in terms of, again, the £200 million fee. To be honest, that is far too much, and of course they might slightly be worried as well with that. And I think it's an interesting one for sure. And look, will it go on all summer long? No. We'll know at the end of July whether or not it's happening, or we're going to go after Ekitike. But in my honest opinion, I think Liverpool will sign either Isak or Ekitike this summer. I think that's pretty much guaranteed at this point anyway. But sign Ekitike ASAP. He fits the data con as well. So does Isak, to be fair, Gary. It's the both of them that fits it. It's just the problem is one costs, well, one you'd hope would cost £60 million. The other one costs, world record British fee. So there's two, isn't it? Big up Mr. Murph as well, saying we should get Walter made the 2 meter. Jesus Christ. To be fair, he's having a belter in the under 21 tournament at the minute. Didn't he score again last night or the night before? He's definitely a decentish player. When I watched him, obviously in the Germany games for Wirtz, again, I don't know if it was just because Germany wasn't playing good, but certainly in the under 21 championship, he has been belting her in. No, I've always said don't want Gyökeres. It's never been one for me personally. But Isak is good, but he's overpriced. 100%. Look, should a forward cost 130, 140 million pounds? Again, in the market, yes, but as Lewis Steele says, but Newcastle have quoted 200 million pounds. That's well overpriced for a player. Isak is injury prone. Yes and no. I think it's more muscle injuries, isn't it? But obviously knowing Liverpool, it fits perfectly for Liverpool in that way. Anyway, but P.S. he's just had an operation on his groin. Has he really? I didn't know that. But look, at the end of the day, do I think it'll happen? 60-40 of me says no. The optimism of me goes, no, Liverpool could do it. Liverpool can turn his head, and obviously he'll ask for a move, and Liverpool will put the money on the table. But the realistic side of it is, look, Liverpool will sign Ekitike, and then hope he turns into the player that that we think Isak is at the moment. Because I've said it to you guys, I think Ekitike will move to a big team this summer. Absolutely, he will. And then we may end up looking at it in like 2-3 years' time where you go, oh, okay, the development of him will be huge in terms of, in the next 2-3 years, he'll be one of the best in the world. But again, the Liverpool want another project striker. I think that's why we are currently looking at it and going, oh, you know what, we could have a versatile striker now, or a versatile player, and then we go again the next summer in the summer market. But I think the way we are building it for this season is we are looking to win now, and we're looking to sign a number 9 now. And this is why I think on the market the best options are Ekitike and Isak, by a country mile. Because I think again Sesko, I know there's a couple of people shout out Sesko now and again. I'm like, he's decent, and like looking at him and obviously his age and that, he has again loads of potential, but he is still, what's the right word? Very green for what he is. But yeah, I think you're going to need a couple of years of him developing, and still he might not develop into the player that everyone thinks he's going to become. Either obviously for Arsenal, you look at it. I look at it and go, they should go for Gyökeres because he's guaranteed goals. But yeah, it's an interesting one as well, because again, like as Lewis Steele said, the number 9 market is a rough one at the current moment in time as well. But Ollie says, Con, do you know what's happening? Hang on a minute, let me get the comment up. There we go. Con, do you know what's happening with Bajcetic? But he just had surgery, didn't he? I believe on his hamstring. So hopefully, his due date is meant to be coming back for pre-season. So hopefully that's, going to happen. And it won't be like what was it, last summer or 2 summers ago when, he had that really bad period where he had the growing pains and then had a few other problems that we never really knew about. And then, we only saw him once that season as well. So supposedly he had really good work, didn't he, out in La Liga. Whether or not he's going to go out on loan, I think we are more likely to see him go out on loan than we are to see him sold, then, if that makes sense. But as of right now, I would say, personally, I would say he's going to go out on loan again, I think, for next season, for sure. But yeah, that's just me guessing at this point anyway. But look, I am going to leave it there for the Isak stuff. Anyway, guys, hopefully you guys have a good rest of your day. We'll be back later on, hopefully in the next hour, with obviously the news around Milos Kerkez, hopefully. Again, that should be getting announced at, maybe at 6-7 o'clock. I think it'll be around 7 tonight. It'll be announced. So again, we'll be live around 7-8 o'clock again. If not, we will be back live anyway, because we're going to talk more about Darwin Núñez. We're going to talk about Ibu Konate as well, because there's multiple stuff to talk about around them guys. Certainly Darwin as well, because if anybody's seen his buzz cut yesterday, again, he looks like a proper player to go into the Serie A now, at least anyway. But look, hopefully we will be back later. If you are new around here, please do hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and yeah, hopefully I'll see you guys a bit later on to talk about Milos Kerkez joining the Reds anyway. But yeah, hopefully you have liked the video. Do hit the subscribe button as well, and yeah, I'll see you guys later. Ta-ra.